So welcome everyone to this online assembly. My previous online assemblies have been outside in my garden, but it's a bit colder now, so I'm here in my house in my study. Now I expect you know what one of these is, and you may well have one. It's an Advent calendar. An Advent is the time when we get ready for Christmas. And this Advent calendar begins on the 1st of December, like all the Advent calendars that you'll get in the shop. But in the church, we don't have an Advent calendar. We have an Advent ring. And in the church, Advent doesn't begin on the 1st of December. Advent always begins on a Sunday, on the 4th Sunday before Christmas. And on the 4th Sunday before Christmas, we light the first Advent candle. And then we light the second, the third, and the fourth on the next Sundays. And then on Christmas Day, we light the middle candle. But let's go back to this Advent calendar, and I want to have a little think about what it might teach us about getting ready for Christmas in Advent. So let's have a look inside. So let's open up number 1 and see what we've got in here. Well, we've got a reindeer. And you know, this reindeer reminds me of Rudolph. Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer, had a very shiny nose. And all the other reindeer used to laugh and call him names. Wouldn't let poor Rudolph join in any reindeer games. And that's sad. They bullied him. And then one foggy Christmas Eve, along came Santa and said, "Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight?" And then, as the song goes, all the other reindeer loved him. And I think that's rather nice how Santa Claus, Father Christmas, brought love into Rudolph's life and into the life of the other reindeers. And that's the first thing that this Advent calendar teaches us about getting ready for Christmas. That Christmas is about love coming into the world. God's love coming into the world. So let's move on a little bit. Let's move on to 10, say. We're going to go through this Advent calendar, just jumping to this one. Let's see what's in here. Well, in this one we've got a snowball. Now, we often associate snow with Christmas, but actually when Christmas comes, it's not usually snowing these days, but it doesn't stop us dreaming of a white Christmas. And the brightness of the white snow, of this snowball, reminds us of light. Because when everything's covered in snow, it's so bright and light. And Christmas is also about light coming into the world. And this year's been quite a dark year, hasn't it, in a way, that we've been in the middle of the pandemic and all the COVID lockdowns, and sometimes it's felt like we've been going into a tunnel, not sure how we're going to get out of it. But there is light at the end of the tunnel as we think about a vaccine and things like that. But actually, Christmas reminds us that there's always light at the end of the tunnel. There's always hope, because Christmas is about God's light coming into the world. And so let's move on a little bit. Let's go on to the 20th down here. Let's see what we've got behind here. We've got little chocolate sweet. You know what this sweet reminds me of? It reminds me of a Christmas tree decoration. You can just see it hanging on a Christmas tree, a little bauble. And you know, I've spoken about Christmas tree decorations before when I've been talking about people looking at the world from space. And I don't know if you've seen the space station go overhead. You can sometimes see it coming over Smallfield. There's 7 astronauts up there now. And they've spoken about looking down and seeing Earth like a little fragile Christmas tree decoration hanging there in space. And as they've gone further away, it's just like a beautiful marble, the size of this little sweet here. And they've thought how precious it looks. And they've marvelled about all the life that's on Earth and how precious this life on Earth is. And so this little sweet reminds us of life. And Christmas is about life coming into the world. God's life coming into the world. And then we have the biggest of the doors. But I'm not going to open that now. We're going to keep that. We're going to keep that till my Christmas assembly, which I'll do in 2 or 3 weeks' time. And this is my Advent assembly, so not quite Christmas yet. So I'm just going to leave you with those thoughts that I've said so far. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer reminds us of love coming into the world. God's love coming into the world. The snowball reminds us of the brightness of God's light coming into the world. And the little chocolate, like a Christmas tree decoration, like Earth hanging there in space, reminds us of the life of the world. Love, light, and life. And actually, those 3 things are also what the candle reminds us of. The warmth of the candle reminds us of God's love. The candle brings light, the light that represents hope. And it's a living flame, it moves, it needs air to breathe. It reminds us of life. Love, light, and life. Those things are what Christmas is all about. God's love, God's light, God's life coming into the world with the birth of Jesus.